Hello, witchy bookworms.
Witchy bookworm.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you did call me a bookworm earlier.
That's when you had your glasses on.
Tried to make me feel like a.
Guys, new let's do it like this. Write in the comments if you'd like to see Sammy wearing glasses in next video. Case in point, she's adorable when she wears glasses, but she for some reason doesn't want to wear them. Doesn't matter. Get back to the video at point. We do the welcome to
After Dusk.
Okay. Now we got that out of the way.
We did promise you a book haul, like book recommendations for beginner witches. Well, before we do that main video, we decided to do a particular one on a book by Raven Grimassi, Hereditary Witchcraft, because it was the first book that I read. So it was some time ago, so I would be here because, you know, the details are a bit blurry. Luckily, I have my first grimoire with me.
The first one. Well, should we get going, Sammy?
Yes,
now,
we should.
I have here some questions about the book, just so we don't forget something important. We will be questioning Sammy as if she was in an interview of some sort today. So,
and it's very interesting because Joe hasn't read this book.
I haven't read this book, I have to be honest, so it'll be interesting for me as well to see what it is about and just find out how good this book really is, or isn't. We'll see. For starters, Sammy, could you tell us a little bit about what this book is about? What is it that it teaches? What is it that it shows?
The title by itself is a bit controversial, just as the author is. Do you want me to speak more of it, Joe?
Well, yeah, do tell me, why is the author considered to be controversial?
Well, because
Raven Grimassi.
Yes, Raven Grimassi. So he has written several books around Italian witchcraft, and then some of the Italians, they say that it's not as ancient or authentic as he claims. But then, for example, this was the first book from him that I read, and in the very beginning, in the introduction section, he actually quotes himself in another book, which disperses this argument because he never said it was ancient. He said it was said to him that something was authentic, but from my home country is very close to Italy. Basically, while reading of this book, I encountered several of magical practices that are actually in my home country. Yes, I believe it to actually be authentic enough for the Mediterranean part of some countries. Of course, Italy is a big enough country to have variations and different practices within itself, which it is known for.
Yeah,
like some villages that have entirely different traditions. So of course, not everyone will agree on this.
Of course.
But he did say, and I also think that the other part of this controversy is that his tradition does follow some form of Wicca, and for example, I don't follow Wicca, which you knew. Then he also has some gems that are valuable to other practitioners as well, because unlike some other Wiccan practitioners, he does say certain things that would not be widely accepted, which is for example, is your cat your familiar? That's your line. Come on, Joe.
It's not, guys. It's not. Your cat is not your familiar. And let us elaborate just a bit on that. So, Sammy, could you tell us, or maybe for the baby witches out there watching this, if someone doesn't even know the term yet, what is, or rather what should be a familiar? Like, what's the core definition behind this?
So the core definition, which is in the very root of the word, is family, because it's an ancestral spirit. Or if it's not from the family, if it's not like one of your relatives, like their spirit, then it can be, some will be squeamish on this word, but like a demon, okay, a spirit that was invoked by one of your relatives before, and now it's passed on from generation to generation, whether you know it or not. This is interesting. Like in my home country, this is actually called to be a mura.
Okay.
It has a lot of negative connotations around it, but it also it varies based on a village. So it's not all black and white. We will do a separate video on familiar spirits.
We might be digressing just a bit too much here.
just like we are not saying that it cannot take a form of a cat. We are not saying that. It's just, because of Hollywood and things like Sabrina, the Teenage Witch, not every cat is a familiar, and you wouldn't want your cat to be your familiar because it can actually, absorb harm that is supposed to be done to you so you don't get hurt. So would you like your dear cat to die to protect you? Probably not.
Okay, let's go back to the book now because
It's gone dark.
no, we're just a bit, digressing a bit too much. We've just moved away from the topic at hand. So, Hereditary Witchcraft. What is this book like? In a few short, concise lines, what is it about? And could you also tell us who this book is for? In a sense, like who should be reading it the most?
Okay, well, so the level of the book is not very beginner friendly. However, I recommend that it is one of the first books that you read, because like I mentioned before, if you take a bunch of similar beginner books, you will not gain anything from it, and it will give you a wider perspective. Even if you're not Wiccan, it will give you a couple of things to think about because it approaches a certain number of topics seriously. For example, binding magic. Which is something that I love it here because it actually tells you, okay, it's not just you tying a knot. Like there is usually a spirit energy behind it if you really need it to be powerful.
Yeah.
And this is what I loved about this book actually. And what it is about, when we say hereditary, as he explains in the introduction, Raven Grimassi, it doesn't mean directly in your blood. However, he does pose a theory that some of the villages in Italy had, which also happens to be true in my home country. That, for example, if you had a medium in your bloodline, that these traits would reappear somewhere in new generations. They would be passed along. So it's not like witchcraft knowledge, but we can correlate it to genetic memory, for example.
Yeah.
I would say it like that. And you may anybody can do witchcraft, anybody can learn it. And it is true that, if you are psychic by nature, I mean, we are all psychic, don't get me wrong, but if your abilities are naturally more developed, you're more likely to find this path. That's all that I'm saying here.
Okay.
And as for the hereditary part, what he actually talked about is in a historical context, the way that it was passed down by generations. So I actually have a quote about it.
That's a question I wanted to ask you. Do you have a favorite quote from the book that you would maybe like to share with our baby witch and witch viewers?
I do. I mean, it's more poetic than it's. So don't take this by the book, but it's just nice. So one of the old nonas that's grandma, but you're a polyglot. Oh my God. Okay. that she said to him. If the old ways were to disappear, then the spirits of nature would withdraw from humankind. But as long as one Stregha still kindles the spirit flame, all will be as it was in time of our beginning. It's very nice. And some have a problem with the term Stregha. Back to my home country, I don't have a problem with it because I actually heard very old people refer to it as Štriga, which is it is like a bad term for a witch, but it's every term here is a bad term for a witch, because it has a lot of negative connotations. And in all Roman Catholic countries, where the Roman Church took charge at one point, you have this, negative atmosphere around it, and it's quite uneasy to speak of it, especially to your family members, for example. That's a separate topic.
That's a separate topic. So let's get back to the book because I
wanted to finish one thing about the hereditary part in this book. So it describes on which principles would the knowledge be passed on. So, for example, another quote that I have is Stregha children are watched for signs of possessing a certain quality, or quote, the gift, which will later be nurtured and developed by their grandparents. So this is what I was talking about. They are not like it's a witch, it's a boy, it's a girl, it's a witch. It's not like that. So they are watched, and then they are really attuned to nature, or they have these little premonitions. We can nurture this and see if they want it. This is that's what's important. It's not It's not like some, orthodox religions. They're like, okay, you're born into this religion. No, it's on you to embrace this path, to really step into this power.
Amazing. So, given all that you've said already, what do you think? To whom would this book be most useful, and to what would this book be most applicable?
Okay, so obviously, if you have a background from the country that is Catholic in nature, because Raven Grimassi does mention, so the Italian witchcraft does have a lot to do with practices similar that we see in other countries, for example, Santeria. So they take saints and then they put them in charge of a certain aspect of your life that you want a blessing for. So saints are like deities. They basically are. So the theory behind this is when Roman Catholic Church, went on with Christianization and everything, what the villagers did is they just renamed. So they took their deities, they hidden it under the name of a saint. So it still obtains the same function, just under a different name.
Okay, well that sounds certainly like an interesting read. So to end this video, maybe because I think we've covered most of the stuff that you should know without spoiling too much of a book for you guys. Yes. What's the final conclusion? Let's put it like this. Is this a read for you, or is this a pass?
It's a read. It's a read for me.
Okay, it's a read, guys. It's a check mark for it, and so should you be interested in Hereditary Witchcraft, as the title says, or whatever Sammy mentioned in this video regarding the book, please make sure you read the book. I will most probably read it as well, just to, appease my lovely witch right here. In any case, should you have any other books that you've heard about or wanted to read and you'd like us to do a review on, please do write it below in the comments. Also, if you have any ideas regarding videos you'd like us to make, also write it in the comments below, and we'll make sure to reply to you, probably in a video format as well, and teach you everything you would like to know. So until the next time, guys, be well.
Be well.
And live some magic, guys. See you next time. Bye bye.
Bye bye.